The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on and they get
He missed the complete that. He's crazy
Side by
stuff.
side, Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through, he tags Richard Eck. Hello and welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for the ASRS XFINITY series here live on the Global Sim Racing channel and iRacing Live. Hi, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me is Brian Yatzik. Behind the scenes doing all the button pushing is our director Amjad Yamin and our cameras are provided by Dougie Beard. In recent years, Brian, NASCAR's been picking up several different road courses, including the circuit Gilles Villeneuve and the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park up there in Canada. But what is it that makes Mid-Ohio a little bit unique here?
Mid-Ohio is an absolutely unique course in the fact of it has no room for error. A lot of these more modern circuits have paved runoff areas, and you've seen a lot of courses convert themselves over to that in recent years, but Mid-Ohio has stayed pretty much the same since its inception in the early 1950s, I believe. Where if you put a tire off, you are going to find grass or you're going to find gravel. So really the important part for these drivers tonight is going to be keep all four tires on the pavement and keep yourself and don't beat yourself, basically.
Absolutely, and you can see the twists and turns there on our little track map, but let's show you what it's like from the driver's seat with our GSRC lap guide here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
Alright, we've got Amjad Yamin in the GSRC Mustang, so let's do a lap around Mid-Ohio. Coming down to turn 1, it's easy to get overconfident about the speed you can carry into it. Get the car planted so that you can really get on the power early to set you up for this long straight up to the keyhole. If you didn't manage that, you might find yourself under threat from your opponent looking to outbrake you into 2. Get the car over to the left and then throw out the anchor. The keyhole is tricky with the way the track falls away during this hairpin, but like all hairpins, squaring off the end of the corner will pay dividends, especially with the longest straight of the course following it. This is the backstretch, and we're approaching the best passing opportunity of the lap. Power down all the way down the hill through the kink until finally you reach China Beach. Make sure not to downshift too fast entering here because otherwise the car won't want to turn, or for that matter slow down. By now, we're entering madness as we crest this left-hander. Being good with the throttle and smooth with your inputs will be critical through this long, slow series of S's. Drivers who can manage their wheel spin and learn to take these corners in second gear will find it paying off by keeping your tires in better shape for the end of the run. Finally, we're coming up to Thunder Valley, and the rise on the right-hander will really test your precision and punish those with a lead foot. The track then gently bends right, and you'll want to get the car as close to that red barrier as you can go. Chuck it over the blind rise, and be sure not to take it too quick or else you're going on a trip through the kitty litter. At last, there's the infamous carousel. There's a lot of lines you can take here, but be sure to hold right at the exit to give yourself the straightest line through the final jink left. If you've done all that, you've finished a lap around Mid-Ohio.
Well, as you can see, the track certainly will pose some challenges, but that's enough about the circuit for right now. Let's talk about the drivers who are going to be in this race, and there is a championship going on right now. So let's bring up our point standings and take a look at them. And there you can see Dan Murray currently has a 13-point lead over Michael Kobok. However, neither of those two drivers are there today, nor is Alex Bates in third. And Brian Yatzik forces in the booth here. In fact, none of the top 5 drivers in the points are here tonight. I guess these road course winners are kind of are going to be stealing the spotlight tonight, Brian.
Actually, Sammy, Michael Kobok is here, and of the top 10 in the overall standings, I believe he is one of the few here without having the standings pulled up in front of me. I decided to jump up into the booth because I had some other conflicts in my life that I wanted to settle out, and it was going to take me out of the next race in the ASRS XFINITY series. So I just decided to jump up into the booth and watch it from this perspective. It's always fun because when I go back and I race these guys, I can give them crap about maybe mistakes that they made.
Yeah, so apologies there for the scare that I gave Michael Kobok fans. He's actually not doing too bad in practice and qualifying right now. He was 4th fastest in practice. The cars are currently qualifying right now, and he is 3rd fastest. We only have 11 cars here today, but they should still be able to put on the show, Brian, and that's because there is going to be a competition caution during this event.
Absolutely. This is something that ASRS does on these road courses because there are no cautions on road courses, period. And I believe that might be an iRacing thing or it might be a league policy. I can't quite 100% remember that. But so the competition caution on a small field is going to get everybody back in check. So if you make a mistake early in the first 20 laps, that you get an opportunity to kind of push a reset button and get caught back up into the race. Like I mentioned, the competition caution will be at lap 20 or they're around there. They may throw it a lap earlier, may throw it a lap late. But there's no, and the other stipulation to that is no pitting beforehand. So it's going to keep everybody making their one stop on or around lap 20 because the field window is anywhere between 23 and 24 laps from my sources behind the haulers in the garage that I was able to find out from. So it's going to keep everybody, like I said, it's going to keep everybody tight, and we're going to see a heck of a shootout coming down with probably right around 10 to go when they're going to get the green flag again.
Now currently, as we mentioned, there are 11 drivers qualifying, but the driver we ride on board, Steve Buhala, has yet to turn a lap during qualifying. Now he's been out on track for a couple of laps, so maybe he just hasn't put on the clean lap, because you see as he has to take to the grass there to let other competitors by. Each time you put a wheel on the grass on the road course event or on iRacing, your qualifying time will not count. So Buhala might have to start at the back of the field today, but that being said, with that competition caution at lap 20 for that 10-lap shootout at the end of this it's certainly not over. You could start at the back of a field, and with such a small field, Brian, really this could be anyone's game in those closing laps.
That's kind of what I was thinking here. When you have that small field, it keeps a certain wild card factor in play. Right now, Ty Hester and Michael Kobok, actually. No, Bryce, sorry. Your top 3 in qualifying, and this is all provisional at this point with about a minute and a half left, so still enough time for people to come around and cut another lap. If these guys get out in the front, they have a bad pit stop, then they're going to have to come back and fight back. And really, when it boils down to passing, Mid-Ohio is a very technically sound road course. There's not a whole lot of passing areas. The biggest ones that I see are the keyhole, which is turn 2, and then if you can get a good run on the guy in front of you coming down the keyhole down a very long straightaway, these cars are going to wind up into 4th gear, get close to 160 to 170 miles an hour, which on a road course in a stock car that's not designed to turn left and right is terrifying when you get down to turn 4. And that's going to be my other passing zone, because you might have the chance to outbrake somebody and you can get the run, and you better complete that pass before you get to the top of turn 5, because then if you're on the inside of 4, well, now all of a sudden you're going to go to the outside of turn 5, and you could find yourself in a whole heap of trouble because of the aforementioned grass and kitty litter that awaits for you.
Absolutely. There is a 5-second span between the fastest and the slowest cars in qualifying right now. However, we should have a fair amount of competition up front, because the top 3 are separated by less than a second. That shows you just how tricky it is to get around here. Buhala was able to complete a timed lap that time by, however he remains in 11th position. And for our viewers who regularly come in to watch the ASRS AMSOIL Truck Series on Wednesday nights, they should recognise pretty much every name in the field here I've seen in the Truck Series, except for the number 84 of Jack Strokski. He's a relatively new name to me, Brian. I don't know if you're familiar with him through racing in the ASRS.
No, he's a new name, period. He's recently signed up, and I know that with the way that this XFINITY part is set up with ASRS, it's kind of a all welcoming group. So right now there's no entry fee for this league, so it gives you an opportunity to get into the B-Fix class, get a taste of ASRS, and hopefully join around and stay around for 2016.
We do have two drivers currently on track trying to finish up a qualifying lap to see if they can improve. The first is a number 2 car being driven by Jim Foose, who is coming through the final couple of corners right now. He currently sits in 5th place. He was 2nd fastest in practice. Can he move up the board? He comes across the finish line and he does jump up to 4th position. The last car on the track is Jared Haggerty, who is also making his way through the final couple of corners right now. Currently 10th of the 11 cars on the grid across the start-finish line and remains in 10th position. No, sorry, he jumped up to 9th position, and that is qualifying over and done with. So, let's take a look at the grid for this race, and it will be the number 68 car being driven by Ty Hester that will start from pole position. Lined up alongside him will be Bryce Witson. On the row behind them will be Michael Kobok and Jim Foose, and then Mark Myers and Jack Strosky will be rounding out on the 3rd row there, Brian.
P7 goes to Austin Missler, followed by Aaron Kleinhans in 8th. Jared Haggerty, as we mentioned, jumped up to 9th in his qualifying run, and he's followed to the grid in 10th place by Jeffrey Gilliam. Shotgun on the field is Steve Buhala in his number 12 Toyota.
And another thing that will make this race a bit interesting is that they do not allow fast repairs in the ASRS series, so you're going to see these drivers trying to play it a little bit careful, especially early on, because you don't want to tear up your car, especially considering you're only going to have one caution during this race. But that being said, Brian, it could be difficult to get around this track today because the track temperature is 106 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's a smoldering course right out here, right outside of Lexington, Ohio, here in the United States. So these cars already don't want to grip on the road course, and now you're going to throw a hot track into play. These guys are going to be struggling for grip throughout this entire race.
And in fact, the pace car is already pulling off because they only had a couple of turns to go before they come to the start line. The green flag is now in the air, and Ty Hester leads them away in that yellow Jegs machine. He gets the jump on Bryce Witson, and at the front of the field they are all single file as they go down to turn 1. Is anyone going to attempt to move in the keyhole? I think it's a bit too early to be that ambitious, but let's see if anyone at the back tries anything.
I'm keeping my eye out back. Everybody's falling in line. Still early, 33 laps. Best battle here. Kleinhans going up on the inside of Austin Missler. That was for position number 8. If my timing and scoring is playing nicely today. There it is. Yeah, that was position number 8.
Coming down this long back stretch where they're hitting about 150 miles an hour into the braking zone. They can get very close here if they all have different braking points. And the best battle on track right now is for 7th. Aaron Kleinhans picked up a spot from Austin Missler there. And he started 8th and is up into 7th position. So actually that's not Kleinhans going forward. That's Austin Missler going back a bit. Well, no, he started 7th and fell to 8th, so no, that was just a switch there.
Just a simple, you take this spot, I'll take your spot, and we'll meet back in the middle at the end.
Yeah, there's also been a change between the drivers who started 5th and 6th. Mark Myers started in 5th and has fallen back to 6th. Jack Strosky started in 6th and has moved up into 5th place, but the top 4 are exactly where they started. Ty Hester, Bryce Witson, Michael Kobok and Jim Foose have completed the first lap around here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
And I know Ty is fired up. Last night he ran a great race in the ASRS Super Truck Series. And ran a great race, ran up the top 3 all night. And a late race restart ended up, because of a late race restart, he ended up spinning off into turn 1 at Phoenix. So I know he's fired up tonight. He's going to go out for a win. He's going to show these guys what he's made of, especially with his with the new alliance that's been formed between himself and Jim Foose, which any of our viewers from ASRS previous broadcasts might think that's a slightly strange occurrence. But Jim Foose is making the switch to Toyota, and he and Ty...
Michael Kobok got the rear end real out of shape going through the 4th turn there. He was able to hold on to it, though, and hold on to third place. It's really one of the best battles going on right now. Those two running one behind the other in second and third. They've got a couple seconds over Fuchs in fourth. Anyhow, Kobok was able to hold it pointing in the right direction. So back to you, Brian.
Yeah, Michael Krobach's a good wheel man. He can hang in there and hold it down.
Oh, another big slide from Jared Haggerty, and Jeffrey Gilliam reacts behind him and spins around. And Jeffrey Gilliam will drop to the back of the field, but I think Gilliam was reacting to the fact that Jared Haggerty had been drifting in front of him through that turn.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like to me. I mean, especially if you're downshifting through there, these cars will get really wheel happy as you're trying to stay in it. Luckily for Gilliam, we've got a competition caution like we talked about, so all he has to do is just keep all four tires on the pavement and give it his go. Austin Missler has had a problem as well. He's had an off coming out through turn one. All of a sudden, he's very slow.
He lost one position to Jared Haggerty. I think we should be able to get a replay of that.
Yeah, what it looks like to me is maybe as he was downshifting to get through turn one, the rear end just stepped out on him. And we see it right there on the screen. We're going to watch it again. Here we go. And you'll watch it. At that point, you're trying to get the downshift right, and you're trying to get back into the gas to get the momentum going. And it just looked like that car just stepped out from him. No harm, no foul. Just a simple 1X through the grass, and keeps it pointing back north.
Meanwhile, up front, the top three cars are still covered within 2 seconds, but they have over a 4-second gap between them and the driver in fourth place, Jim Fuchs. Ty Hester, Bryce Witson and Michael Kobok are really the class of the field today so far.
Absolutely. The way that these guys are, you got three guys under a blanket, but if you're Jim Fuchs and Jack Strosky, you're really not in a position to push right now. You know that competition caution is right around the corner. So just save your stuff and then make a run at it at the end of the race.
Position change about to occur. Jared Haggerty is letting Austin Missler by. So, according to the start-finish line, there was no position change during the course of that lap because Austin Missler crossed the start-finish line last time around in 8th place and is back in 8th position before the lap comes to completion and gets through turn 1 okay that time. What do you think tyre strategy is going to be when this competition caution falls, Brian? Because obviously the drivers at the back who might just be here for the win, the best way of getting them up to the front of the field is by not taking any tyres and the leaders taking 4 tyres. But how much are tyres going to be worth?
I think tires are going to be worth a fair amount. I would not want to try this track, with especially as hot as it is, on a 2-tire call. If it was maybe cloudy and the track temperature was 20 degrees less, as we watched Michael Kobok get a little squirrely there coming through turn 6. If the track was colder, yeah, I would maybe give it a shot, but when it's this hot, slick, and greasy, and with the way that we're watching these guys spinning these tires off of the corners, Kobok has another big moment coming through the carousel. So, I mean, that right there, you know when you're burning your stuff up, there's no way that you can really entertain the idea of 2 tires. Now, not saying that anybody's not going to try it, because it's a viable strategy. Kobok has another moment going through that. I think what we're seeing there with all his car, with all these times that we've seen him get squirrely, I think right now he's getting the tires hot, and when these tires are hot, they don't grip. So what he needs to do is fall in line behind Bryce Witson, save your stuff for a little bit. There's no sense in taking yourself out before you have an opportunity to make a good run at the end, because they only pay points on lap 33. They don't pay it on lap 5.
Steve Buhala has had an incident and just taken a tow to the pits. It wasn't a massive crash. I mean, we'll get a replay of it, it looks like here. His car wasn't that badly damaged. And meanwhile, I can tell you, as the leaders approach a start-finish line, that I see they've bunched up a bit because Ty Hester is doing 10 times what Kobok was doing. I don't know what's happened to Ty Hester this lap. Let's go back to live action because he might be about to lose the lead. In fact, you can throw a blanket over all 3 of them. Hester gets in the wall. He got in the grass. Kobok takes advantage and takes the lead.
Ty Hester spins as he's coming through that. Michael Kobok came out of turn 6 in 3rd place and went into turn 9 in the lead.
I don't know what happened to Ty Hester. I don't know if he gave his cat the controls. I mean, he was absolutely dominating this race, got it sliding through the twisty section there, and he just never regained control.
That's kind of what I was talking about. You get these tires heated up and they will grip less and less and less as the run goes on. And I think we saw the very aggressive pace that Ty was setting. That's what probably ultimately led to that spin through there.
And Jeffrey Gilliam now has an off. He's running at the back of a field. He is able to get back on the track and doesn't hit anything, but loses a lot of time. And all of a sudden, the tyres must have hit a cliff, because we're seeing these drivers all over the place. I'm just keeping an eye on Michael Kobok, who's now the leader after you said he started last lap in 3rd place. Remember how many times we've seen him drifting today? He's still doing it. And I have a feeling Bryce Witson is going to get impatient and try and want to take a lead from him very soon.
Absolutely. If there's one thing I've noticed, Bryce, I don't think has had that car sideways once. Doesn't necessarily surprise me because Bryce is a very methodical driver. He knows when to push, he knows when to hold back, and I think right now he's just riding back there and saying, okay, Michael, keep going, keep overdriving your stuff, because eventually going to come to a point that what happened to Ty, you're going to get loose enough, and I'm just going to sneak by, and there's not going to be a fight.
Well, let's see, because they're coming up to the best overtaking opportunities on the track. Bryce is too far back to do anything into turn 1, and unless Kobok gets a bad exit out of this turn, which he doesn't do, Bryce is still too far back to make a move into the keyhole. But now they're about to go down the long backstretch, and Kobok got the... Well, he may have not necessarily got the entry wrong, but they definitely took different lines, and actually I think Kobok's worked better. He gets a run going down the backstretch.
He got the exit right. He might not have got the entrance right, but he got the exit right. He gapped Bryce Witson there by about 3 car lengths coming out of the corners. You see Bryce start to catch back up under braking as they go through the 4-5-6 combination.
Well, let's go through the race order, because it has changed a little bit ever since everyone lost their heads a couple of laps ago, it almost seemed like. Kobok leads ahead of Bryce Witson, Booster's still in 3rd, Strosky and Myers round out the top 5, Kleinhans is in 6th, but he's got Ty Hester, who was leading the race, all over him in 7th position. Austin Misley is in 8th, Jared Haggerty is in 9th, and Jeffrey Gilliam rounds out the top 10. Cars left on the lead lap and cars left on the track. Steve Bahala in 11th, still sitting in his pit stall. And there's a change for 6th. Ty Hester goes by Aaron Kleinhans.
Apparently the spin hasn't taught him much. He's still driving the wheels off of that thing.
Must be something about having a yellow car, because it's mainly him and Kobok that we've seen doing that today. And Kobok and Bryce are going back into the keyhole again, and Kobok definitely overshoots it this time, and Bryce goes underneath him, and they are going to drag race down the backstretch here.
This is going to get good. Who's going to outbrake who? Because Bryce is going to have the preferred line going into turn 4, but it's going to switch back in Kobok, and he can hang on the outside. He's going to have the preferred line as they go through 5.
And Kobok turns in, but Witson is there, and Witson is into the lead. And he was ahead of Kobok before the Hester incident took place. So now it remains to be seen what Bryce can do at the front of the field. Is he going to be able to pull away from Kobok now that he finally has a clean track for the first time in this race?
I think Bryce has definitely been maintaining his stuff. As we just watched him get a little squirrely coming out of 6. I think he's been saving his stuff better than Michael and Ty have. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna see how that pays off for him.
Well, they're coming across the line, and they're only going to be completing lap 8, so they're not even halfway into this green flag stint. Reminder that we know we're going to have a competition caution at the completion of a 20th lap. But 8th lap on the board, and for the first time this race, Bryce Witson has been scored in a position other than 2nd. Now, what role is Jim Foose going to play into all of this? If Michael Kobok, but if his tyres do begin to go off due to him sliding around, Foose has been having a relatively smooth race. Could he run Kobok down for second?
Potentially, he's going to have to pick up the pace. This last time by, he and Krobach had pretty similar lap time. So, unless Foose all of a sudden finds maybe another second a lap, I think Krobach might be safe up there in second place. But with the way that these guys are going, Kobach has an off. Going through turns 4 and 5, he has an off.
Yeah, Kobok's not safe. You're saying if Kobok's going to be safe, I can't see it happening. Kobok and Witson were about 3 seconds faster a lap than the rest of the field at the start of the race, and I think it's hurting them now.
Now, what's that Christmas line? If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, something like that?
Must be an American thing. Well, Kobok still is going to have about 11 seconds over, well, we got the timing on screen right there right now. Yeah, about 12 seconds over Jim Foose right now. So it hasn't hurt him too badly, but that being said, it certainly leads us to believe that his tyres could be going off, but you can be sure he'll most likely back up his entry into turn 4 this time by.
Maybe. I mean, it only takes one time like that to learn where the braking point is, and especially as these tires start to wear out, you're going to find these guys backing up that corner entry more and more and more.
Now the problem is, the 3 drivers at the front of the field, remember Ty Hester, Bryce Witson and Michael Kobok early on, they were pulling away from the rest of the field early on by about 3 seconds a lap, but now everyone is running the same time. And that is a problem for Ty Hester, because all of a sudden, yes, he's fallen back to 6th, and you would think, hey, he was leading the race early on, he should be able to pass the cars in front. That's not the case though, because everyone's running the same pace now. He can't really gain ground on the cars in 3rd, 4th and 5th.
No, not really. I mean, from a leader's pace time, actually from the last lap time, he was the fastest on track, but it was only by 2/10 over Bryce Witson. Now, he has been faster than the cars in front of him, so with 10 laps until the competition caution, I'll be curious to see. I'm pretty certain he's going to be able to get by Mark Myers, maybe Jack Sprosky. I don't think he's going to be able to get up to Jim Foose, though.
Well, it'll certainly be worth watching, because we're only halfway in the first stint of this race, and given the amount of action that we've seen in the first 10 laps, the picture could look drastically different by the time these drivers roll down pit road under that competition caution. Austin Missler has just had a moment. That looks like it's in the final turn there. He's able to retain 8th position though. Not the first time we've seen him have issues. Looks like he lost it on braking.
Yeah, going into the carousel there, you're trying to downshift and keep everything together. So, wheel hop and getting the car, or having the car get that loose on you, that's kind of a moment of theirs. Ty Hester has come back around Mark Myers to retake the 5th position.
Yeah, I'm trying to work out how that happened, because the last time we saw them, Mark Myers did run wide on the exit of turn 1 that lap. He didn't really go off, but as soon as he realised he hadn't got a good exit, he just kind of rolled out the gas and let Ty Hester have it.
Especially down that long backstretch. It's like I mentioned in the intro, if you have a very poor exit, your whole straightaway is killed. So Ty nailed that exit. That's what allowed him to motor on by.
This is interesting. Jeffrey Gilliam in the pits. The drivers have been told that they can't pit before the competition caution. I don't see any damage to his car. He was running in 10th place, and he's taken tyres, so I'm not quite sure what's going on here.
Lost on that one myself.
Did they explain what the penalty would be for taking tyres before the competition caution?
If they did, I didn't hear it.
Well, Gilliam's done it, and whatever the penalty is, he's certainly He certainly penalised himself anyhow, because now he's lost a lap to the field. I don't know if I'll hand out a lucky dog to him at the next caution. We'll have to wait and see. Meanwhile, Kobok has rammed Bryce Witson back down for the lead, and Bryce is having difficulty getting out the turns. Kobok's actually looking for the lead here. And takes it.
That was not a prime passing opportunity. Kobok showed in hand early in the race, making the move through there. Impressive maneuver from him.
Well, these drivers up the front have certainly been putting on the show today. We had Hester leading early on, but then he made a mistake, so Kobok snuck by into the lead, but he wasn't really able to keep his car under him, so Bryce took the lead, and now Kobok's gathered it back up and gone back up in front, and I think Austin Missler just had another off.
Jump on screen. Ty Hester has caught and ran down Jack Strelski. We have to see where he decides to try to make the move. And he makes it right there, coming through the carousel. Wow! These guys are trying to find all these places on the track to make a pass that I never would have thought they would have tried to make the pass. So, good on Ty. He's made his way back up to 4th. 7 laps to go until the competition caution. He's got a very good chance to run down Jim Foose, and that last lap, Ty Hester was also fastest on the track. So this is going to be good when the whole field resets after the competition caution, because that's going to give Ty a fresh opportunity to go up there and give Michael Kobok and Bryce Witson a little bit of grief.
Yeah, I think that Hester may have gotten a little bit of help from Strowski there, and I think he's going to get a little bit less help from Foose, mainly for the fact that Ty Hester and Jim Foose, out of those 4 drivers we've been talking about running 3rd to 6th position, are 2 of the more experienced drivers in the series, and they know how each other races. If Hester catches Foose in the closing laps of his stint, how much of a fight will he be willing to put up, knowing that if he can get to the competition caution ahead of Ty Hester, he will be in a more opportune position when they enter the pits?
Well, that's what's going to be interesting, because recently these two, I mentioned it earlier in the telecast, but these two recently announced that they were teaming up. Ty Hester is running under the Jim Foose Motorsports banner, and as you see, Jim Foose is running a Toyota Camry now, so a little bit of make change and some other changes going around for Jim Foose and his team. So I don't know if he's going to let the new guy outshow him on the first time out. I don't. We're going to jump up to the lead. Michael Kobok making a run for it again.
Yeah, Kobok was leading, but he had a bit of a moment going through turn 1, and Bryce Witson got alongside him on the outside of a keyhole. He wasn't able to make that work, so he's going to cross over and try and look down the inside of Michael Kobok coming to turn 4. Remember, this is where Kobok overshot his braking point earlier, and it almost spelled disaster. They go into this turn side by side, and Witson comes out in front, and once again we have another new leader.
Well, these guys are putting on a great show for us up here, and everybody out there on GSRC and iRacing Live.
Next battle, I think, will be this battle for 3rd. Although, as I say that, Ty Hester proves me wrong and overshoots the 4th turn and loses a bit of time on Jim Foose. Oh, and I thought Strowski may have had a moment there at turn 5, but no, his car's still pointing in the right direction. Oh, Kobok is coming into the pits.
Well, that's an interesting strategy. I don't know. Maybe unless I heard something wrong, I don't know if they maybe mentioned that you could stay out or pit. I really don't know. I thought I heard right, but
yeah, because well, if that is a strategy, if you are allowed to pit before the competition caution, and we have heard wrong, then shouldn't everyone be doing that? Because you're gonna want to, that's a designed strategy at road courses, because you're not going to go a lap down. Now, that being said, as Jack Strowski comes in too, if you do make your pit stop under the competition caution, yes, you will drop to the back of a field, but you will have fresher tyres for the final 10-lap shootout.
Absolutely, and if you stay out from here, you're going to have five laps on the tires. And you're probably looking at Ty Hester and Jim Foose. They're probably going to stay out until the competition caution. So These Witson Motorsports guys, they're known for playing some strategy games, so we'll have to see how this works out for them.
Yeah, this is now a battle for second between Jim Foose and Ty Hester. Jim, if he is going to back off, he hasn't done it yet. Is all these pit stops move Mark Myers up into fourth. Michael Kobok has came out in fifth place. And we'll continue to monitor this battle for second as they come to the end of a lap. And also see if any of these drivers come into the pits. I can tell you that Bryce Witson has stayed out for another lap. Coming into the carousel. Hester closes in now. Can he get a run out of any of these turns? Get the pedal down to the metal a little bit quicker than Jim can. He's not going to be able to do it going into turn one. Still a couple more overtaking opportunities coming up soon though, but Fuchs gets a good run through turn one, and so nothing's going to happen as they go into the keyhole, but let's see if Hester can close under braking, and if he can get a better run out of a keyhole, turn four is definitely an overtaking opportunity.
I've seen it so many times. If you can get that exit out of the keyhole right, you set yourself up for a great passing opportunity going into turn four.
Meanwhile, behind him is Michael Kobok, who has gotten by Mark Myers, now having new tyres on his Chevy Camaro.
Right out of the pit stops, that's when you feel like Superman, especially when you've been sliding around and struggling for grip lap after lap, and then you go and get yourself 4 Goodyear feel-goods on pit road, and now you come out and all of a sudden you got grip again, and you can drive a heck of a lot more aggressively.
Bryce Witson stays out again. I'm wondering, actually, do you think we're going to see a lot of cars come into the pits on lap 19? Because think about it, you get the... actually, looks like Ty Hester was taking a look for second there. But if these drivers come into pit on lap 19, they'll still have fairly fresh tyres for the final stint of a race. But at the same time, they benefit by getting their pit stop done before the caution, so they'll still be towards the front for their final stint.
Absolutely. It could be an interesting strategy play if you pit on 19 and then you potentially, I mean, you could pit now, come back out, you could pit on 19. It is kind of that road course strategy. Pit before, or be on pit road as least opportunity as, I'm really butchering that sentence. I think you know what I'm trying to say, Sammy, though.
Yeah, so what the drivers who have pitted early are trying to do here then is use those new tyres to their advantage right now. Let's use Michael Kobok as the obvious example, because he was battling Bryce Witson for the lead before this all began. Michael Kobok is trying to run some hot laps right now, and he is 3 seconds a lap faster than Bryce Witson, so that when Bryce comes in, Michael will be out in front of him. That's also a strategy being employed by Jack Strowski. However, Jack had a moment last lap and ran off course, so that would have cost him a little bit of time.
As Bryce comes through the carousel one more time, not pitting, we're coming around to lap 18. So if these guys are going to employ that strategy, you'd be expecting to see Bryce Witson, potentially Jim Foose or Ty Hester making their way to pit road next time by.
Yeah, well, they can... Oh, big moment for Jim Foose. That'll certainly give Ty Hester an opportunity. No, it doesn't. Because Ty had to take evasive action, really, to try and make sure that he didn't hit Jim. He probably thought Foose may have spun, given how sideways Foose entered that turn, and Foose misses the apex through turn 1. Is Hester going to be able to have a run on him down into the keyhole? I think he's going to do that. He's looking down the inside, and there's a new driver in second place, and it is Ty Hester.
Power move on there, and it was the way that he was able to dive that car into the inside and get out of the braking zone. I think he was given a little bit of slack from Jim Foose there, but it wasn't a whole lot.
Mark Myers is into the pit, but look, not too far behind Jim Foose. The next car in camera is Michael Kobok. He is closed in on this battle for second. And that is actually bad news for Kobok, because he is not racing these guys. He is racing Bryce Witson. He will not want to be held up by these drivers.
Depending on the strategy play here, I'm keeping my eye on Bryce. See where he comes out and if he's going to make his way to pit road this time by. He certainly does. Bryce Witson, our leader, to pit road right now. This is the strategy play that you were talking about, Sammy.
Absolutely. Now, Kobok should be in front of him because Kobok has been running very fast laps in comparison to Bryce Witson on his newer tyres. That being said, Kobok's biggest problem right now is that he's got Ty Hester and Jim Foose right in front of him, and he will not want to be held up by these drivers.
Oh, and Bryce is still sitting on pit road. Left side just went up on that car, so that's a brilliant play from Kobok as he's having a moment going through into turn one.
Saves it though. So, Ty Hester leads but has yet to pit. Jim Foose is in second but has yet to stop. Kobok is in third and is the first driver who can make it to the end on fuel, but his tyres are a bit older than Bryce Witson, who has emerged in fourth position and will be right on the rear bumper of Michael Kobok under this after this competition caution. Now, this time by, they will be completing lap 19, and I have a feeling that means we will see Ty Hester and Jim Foose come down pit road.
The way it's worked out, I mean, pitting now would serve them no benefit whatsoever. They would just end up behind Kobok and Witson by a long mile as Ty has a moment coming through there again. Got really wide on the exit of 6 as he's going to come up through the S's here. Gets very close to that wall. But if they pit now, there's really no gain because when you're going to come onto pit road, you've got the competition caution. Why not pit then? Because you've only got 8 cars on the lead lap. So worst case scenario, you restart 8th, and you have nice and fresh tires. So there wouldn't really be an advantage as Ty Hester has another moment coming into turn 1 as he was getting down through the gears. The back of that car was dancing.
Yeah, I think our strategy could work if they pit under the caution, if they pit on the final lap of a caution, which would be around lap 22 or 23, then they would have much fresher tyres than the driver who pit on lap 18. That being said, Ty Hester has got to make sure that he doesn't end up in the wall before this competition caution comes out, or else we might have a real caution. Meanwhile, Kobok has ran down Foose for second and is looking to the inside, but Foose is not going to give it to him. And that helps Bryce Witson run Kobok down. Now, and Kobok is going aggressive here. He's looking to the outside of Jim Foose as they go through turn 5. And Kobok is going to have to hope that the competition caution is thrown before Witson gets to him.
Yeah, because Witson is coming in a hurry.
And this is...
You could tell Witson was going for it there as his car got a little squirrely at the exit of 6.
Now, will Hester and Foose come in this time by? Yes, Hester is coming in. And Foose is coming in too. So, the competition caution should be shown sometime during the next lap. And these drivers will be emerging most likely in third and fourth positions. And they will have much fresher tyres for the final stint of a race. But who will be the leader? Because we got a battle for the lead here.
And that was all started because Bryce had a pretty bad exit coming out of 1. Both guys got off into the dirt. Bryce is going to give him plenty of room, but I think he took the corner wide to get a better exit. Kobok is having a moment. Kobok is off.
And that won't do him any good. He comes back out on track, and now the competition caution flies. The good news for Kobok is he didn't lose any more positions. The bad news is that Bryce Witson will have control of the field on the restart.
Well, this is going to give everybody an opportunity to catch their breath, get a drink of water. In Kobok's case, maybe have a change of underwear on the hand ready.
And Jack Strosky will restart in 4th. Jim Foose fell behind him after his pit stop.
With the way that worked out, this could work out really nice for Ty, depending on I mean, I have a feeling that Bryce is going to stay out. Kobok, maybe after having the spin, he might head down to pit road, as well as Strowski. Kleinhans and Missler are also probably going to pit because they are still on the same tires that they started this race with.
The problem with Kobok pitting is that he will fall to the back of the field. I mean, I know you're saying that will only be about 8th position once all the pit stops cycle through, but still, wouldn't he be better off restarting second?
Well, and I think from the way that he's positioned, and depending on if the field is able to catch up, like I said, you know that you've got at least 2 cars behind you that are going to pit. So depending on if he can get in and out of the pits quicker than everybody behind him, then you know he's going to, worst case scenario, restart behind Foose in 5th. The wild card to that would be Ostrowski running P4 right now. Take dives on the pit road.
Well, the field is bunching up under the pace car. Bryce Witson leads, Kobok is in 2nd, Hester is in 3rd, Strowski is in 4th, Foose is in 5th, Aaron Kleinhans is in 6th, Austin Missler is in 7th, Mark Myers is in 8th position, and behind that, moving up into 9th place, will be Jeffrey Gilliam, and the first car 1 lap down is Jared Haggerty, who I think will be in... I'm sorry, Jeffrey Gilliam is actually a lap down. Jared Haggerty is in 9th place and Jeffrey Gilliam is in 10th, a lap down. Steve Bahala remains in 11th and hasn't came out of his pit box since going there early in the race.
So watch the field work their way through the 4-5, or into the S's now. Under caution, they're working their way around to pit road. So this is going to be interesting to see how this is going to shake out. If you're Kobok, do you pit? Do you stay out? I mean, we know Bryce and Foose and Hester are probably going to stay out. So this is where you're gonna have to decide: are tires going to be that worth it, or is track position going to be that worth it? I would honestly lean towards tires with the way that with the track temp, with the way that these cars have been driving. I would want 4 tires right here.
Let's see, we're assuming pit road is open this time by... as they come through the final turn, if it is, and it is, because Kobok is coming in, because of a spin, Haggerty is coming in, Strowski is coming in, all of a sudden I'm liking where Kobok is sitting.
All this worked out perfectly for him, providing he can get off pit road ahead of everybody else, and with the gaps that everybody has on pit road, should not be a problem unless he horrifically overshoots his pits. Lance puts it right on the number sign. So now he's going to restart P4 with the freshest tire, the freshest tires behind Ty Hester, Jim Foose, and Bryce Witson.
But let's not forget that Bryce, Ty, and Jim all pitted late under the last cycle. In fact, Ty and Jim pitted right when the caution flag was flown. The driver with the worst tyres is going to be Bryce Witson, but honestly, the driver who has done the best job of preserving his tyres all race has been Bryce Witson, so it will be a very interesting end to this race. However, it is going to take a little while before the green flag is flown again, so we are going to take a short break and we will be back for the closing laps here at Mid-Ohio, the sports car course on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hello and welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where we are getting ready for a 9-lap shootout here on the Twisty Road course, and it will be Bryce Witson leading them away for the restart, but he has older tyres than anyone else on the circuit. Ty Hester will restart alongside him, Jim Fousset in third, and the rest of the cars behind all pit under caution. The Ford Mustang pace car is off. Bryce Witson in the white car has control of the field. The green flag is in, and a big crash already. Hester slides, gets into him, hits Jim Fousset, and Hester spins off into the grass.
Oh my goodness, that was big.
I'm sorry, more contact in the first turn. Kobok got tagged by Bryce Witson, and Witson goes through into the lead. Because, watch your leaders here. Kobok enters turn 1 in first position, but then gets tagged by Bryce Witson on the exit.
I don't think there was contact there. I think Michael overdrove the corner. He was going low on Bryce and absolutely overshot the corner.
You saw one car smoking at the start-finish line incident. That was Austin Missler. He has had to take a tow into the pits. Bryce leads to Jim Foose to Jack Strowski, is really the first driver who didn't get a piece of either of those incidents, currently running in third. Mark Myers is up into fourth, but he might be about to lose that position to Kobok. You think Kobok is racing a bit hot under the helmet right now as he almost loses control down the hill?
You know, I always maintain, and I tell all my teammates, you get me angry, I'm worth another 2/10.
Wow, we did not expect that. Well, we did expect that, but not at the restart.
That was a big moment there.
So, Bryce Witson has the lead, has a beat-up car, and the battle for second. Jim Foose being challenged by Jack Strowski. Nothing happened there in the first corner, though. How much will the fact that Strowski doesn't have any damage to his car pay dividends in the long run? And what about Kobok now? He's going to start running these two down. He's up into fourth.
Kobok's driving it for everything that Chevrolet is worth, but Strowski's in this. Foose is having a moment right across the right across the track.
Meanwhile, Ty Hester has brought his car into the pits with all the damage he got on that restart. Yeah, we'll watch Foose here, pretty much exactly what Kobok did when the caution came out.
Well, this has been full of twists and turns and events.
So that has dropped Foose back to 6th position. It has moved Mark Myers back up into... Sorry, Aaron Cleanhands up into the top 5. Mark Myers in 4th. Michael Kobok is now in 3rd, running Strowski down for 2nd.
With 8 laps to go, coming to 7 to go. I know that if you're Bryce Witson, you're looking up in the mirror, you want Michael Kobok and Jack Strowski get these guys battling, get them side by side. Maybe one will knock the other one off into the dirt, because then you know that you can hang on and save your stuff in case someone else makes a run at you. Strowski has a moment coming out of one. Wow.
Jared Haggerty is off course in the final couple of turns, and he's lost a couple of positions due to that. He's running side by side. Oh, I'm sorry. Kobok has just taken 2nd. And Kobok is now ahead of Strowski, and his next target is Bryce Witson. I don't know if there was contact between the two on the restart. I thought there was, and I have a feeling Kobok is going to assume that there was too.
Well, that's what's going to get interesting when Kobok gets back up there, because judging by the last lap, those fresh tires might be paying dividends for Kobok. Well, 7 laps to go, and he is 4 seconds back. He's going to have to start making some time. As Strowski has a big moment coming through 6 right there.
Ty Hester has not returned to the track. He's got a lot of damage there. Now, you made a solid point during the break, Brian, that Kobok, being the only driver in the top 5 in points that's here today, that he's going to want a solid points day. But surely if he wrecked on the first lap and finished in 11th, that's still a decent points day too.
Well, absolutely. When you're the only guy that showed that's there, the advantage is 100% in your favor. And I know Kobok is probably thinking of the big picture, but he can look up in front of him and see the 00 of Bryce Witson getting closer and closer. And these drivers, we talk about it a lot in other broadcasts, but they get that red mist of war over top of them, where all that logical thinking about having a nice points day kind of goes flying out the driver's side window, and all they think about is getting around the guy in front of them.
Kobok was a second slower than Witson the last time by, but let's not forget that during that lap he did have to make a pass on Struski, which probably cost him a little bit of time. So it will be interesting to see at the completion of this lap, and when they cross the start-finish line this time by, there will be 5 laps left to go. How much has Kobok ran Witson down? He would really need to be eaten up, and Witson has a big moment at the bottom of the hill, and that'll help. But I think Kobok really needs to be eating up about 1 second a lap in order to have Bryce right in front of him starting the final lap, and a position where he can try and take the lead.
Getting closer. We're coming to 5 to go here. This is where the time is going to pay off. Who's been holding on to their stuff? Who's been able to save? I mean, Bryce, after he got clear of all of the chaos off of that restart, he's been practically by himself. So we're going to have to see if he's been saving anything as we're watching Kobok diving for it, going wide off of the corner, getting some grass, getting some dirt. He's digging for it. That last lap, much to your tune, Sammy, Michael Kobok was 2.5 seconds faster.
Yes, I noticed that too. And I'm sure another driver who noticed that was Bryce Witson.
Yeah, all of a sudden that 7 car is getting closer when Bryce keeps checking in the rearview mirror and checks the relative box too.
You gotta wonder how much of it was due to that slide at the bottom of the hill as they work out. And Kobok has a slide this time by. That'll help Bryce out a little bit.
That was just a 4-wheel drift. He had it under control.
Well, now they come to left-hander here over King, and they go down the hill. And this is a right-hander that's been causing so much difficulty today. But Bryce gets it right this time by, although Kobok closes in, but I think he overshot the turn. He lost a lot of time on exit right there.
Kobok was going for it and definitely missed the apex coming through turn 6 there.
No change in the rest of the top 5. The orders: Bryce Witson, Michael Kobok, Jack Strowski, Mark Myers, Aaron Kleinhans, Jim Fuchs, Jared Hagley, Jeffrey Gilliam, and then the other 3 cars in the race are all in the pits with damage. And in fact, Aaron Kleinhans just had a moment, but he remains on track and in 5th place. That time by, Witson was 3 seconds faster than Kobok. 3/10 of a second faster than Kobok.
I don't know if that lap time makes much of a difference, because you can visibly see him having a moment. Witson has a moment coming off of turn 1, and that's not the moment, that's not the place at all on the track that you want to get your run destroyed, because that just absolutely erased the gap. Coming out of turn 1, they had a 1.5 second lead, and now it's down coming into turn 4, half a second.
Absolutely. Now, we remember earlier these 2 traded the lead back and forth, and neither of them was really able to break away. If Kobok can take the lead, will Bryce be able to fight back? I have a feeling he would. And let's not forget the real NASCAR Xfinity Series race here earlier this year, where there was a bump and run for the win in the final turn of the race.
Let's not rule that one out. It's just going to depend on how aggressive these guys want to get towards the end of it, as they work their way through the course. Again, coming through the carousel, we are coming to 3 laps to go.
A big moment there for Bryce. He overshot the carousel on the exit. That gives Kobok the opportunity to go into the lead in turn 1, and Bryce backed out. He might try and attempt a crossover here as they come out of the first turn and look towards the keyhole. He's not going to try anything yet, but I have a feeling he's going to have to try something. He can't really afford to let Kobok run away, and Kobok overshoots the keyhole and almost loses it, but Bryce kind of has to roll out of the gas in the centre of a turn so that he didn't run into Michael. I have a feeling Bryce should have tried to be a little bit more opportunistic on the exit there, and you can see he's trying everything he knows. He was looking to the inside of Kobok as they went into turn 4, although he was never going to make a move there.
And Sammy, let's remember, these guys are teammates.
And that's probably why you don't see any bumpers being laid to one another right now. That could change in the next 2 laps. I think Witson is kind of hoping Kobok just makes a mistake.
Well, I think that you've seen it enough as the race has gone on. Kobok has been able to have plenty of moments and still regain the race lead, but how hard has he been driving? How much is that damage affecting his car? This is what we're trying to figure out as these guys work their way through the carousel for the second to final time.
In 3 minutes, we will know who's going to be the winner of this race. Will it be Michael Kobok, Bryce Witson, or Jack Strowski?
That's the thing. Strowski, even though he's 5.5 seconds back, he's in the popcorn position. If these guys have a moment, Bryce has a moment coming off of one. If these guys get together and tangle, Strowski can just drive right by and take the lead.
See, Kobok has a moment in the keyhole. I mean, he had a whole second lead there. He proved that he'd been able to run Bryce down. I just have a feeling Kobok might be driving a little bit too aggressively here in these closing laps. If he calmed down a little bit, maybe he will be able to retain this lead. That being said, it's easy for us to stand up here and say that. I'm sure these 2 drivers are right on the limit, and you see another moment there for Kobok, and that brings Bryce right back into it.
Having personally raced with these and against these guys week in and week out, I know they're going for it. We've got contact problems.
Kobok spins and Bryce goes into the lead.
Oh, my Bryce coming through the corner has a moment as well. Bryce got very loose coming out of 5, going into 6, and he's still dealing with the loose conditions.
I don't think it damaged his car that much. Kobok has got going again in 3rd position. But maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm sure Bryce, with Kobok being his teammate, I'm sure he never meant to run into him. The reason they kept running into each other was because the brakes can only do so much on the 3,400-pound car. But the white flag is in the air. We're on the final lap now, and Witson has gotten his car back under him, and he has the lead right now and no challengers if he doesn't make a mistake.
I think with as big of a lead as he has, all he has to do is keep 4 tires on the pavement and keep it rolling straight, and he's going to bring home the victory today.
What about Strowski in 2nd? If he's able to keep 2nd, he did not get through the keyhole that well that time, and in fact gets a really bad exit out of the keyhole, and Kobok goes into 2nd and Strowski spins. Commentator's curse, apologies to Strowski, because that is going to move Mark Myers up into 3rd spot and Aaron Cleanhands up into 4.
Strowski got loose out of 2, and he could just never keep it regained. And Foose goes by on the inside, trying to block, but Strowski, as he came off of the keyhole, that car just got into a tank slapper, and he could not get it pulled back up to keep going the direction he needed it to go.
So if you're Bryce now, does he feel bad about his teammate? Because Kobok is right behind him. Is he going to pull over and give Kobok a lead and the win? It doesn't look like it's going to happen.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it looks like Bryce is going to try and take a checkered flag here.
We're coming through the keyhole for the final time. As long as he can keep all 4 tires rolling straight, Bryce has got the victory.
Through the final turn, no intentions of slowing down. Bryce Witson is going to take the win here at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. Michael Kobok will be able to salvage a 2nd place finish, but what could have been? Mark Myers is in 3rd position. Aaron Cleanhands is in 4th. Jim Foose rallies back to a top 5 despite the incident on the restart, and Jack Strowski falls all the way back to 6th after starting the final lap in 2nd position. Jared Haggerty will get 7th, Jeffrey Gilliam will get 8th, and then Ty Hester, Austin Misland, Steve Bahala were not able to finish the race. Wow, what did you think of that?
That was an exciting race that we just witnessed here today at Mid-Ohio. That had everything we needed.
And there you see, when the winner's car looks like that, you know something special went down. And we'll get to talk to the drivers about it in a moment here on GSRC. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where we just saw a 33-lap race here in the ASRS XFINITY series, which ended with a bit of argy-bargy between Bryce Witson and Michael Kobok, who came home in those positions respectively in first and second. Mark Myers was gifted a third position after Jack Strowski at the moment on the final lap. Aaron Kleinhans moved up into fourth and Jim Foose moved up to round out the top five there. Jack Strowski fell back to sixth after his moment on the final lap, and Jared Haggerty rounded out the top seven. Jeffrey Gilliam in eighth place was also a lap down. That was Jared Haggerty in seventh place. Ty Hester was in ninth position in the pits. Austin Missler, 10th position, also didn't make it to the end. And Steve Bahala in 11th was one of the early retirements. We've got a few drivers to talk to here. And the first driver looks like we are going to go straight, actually, to Michael Kobok, because he's probably... No, it looks like Kobok has... Apologies, there's a bit of headset trading going on right here. It looks like we're going to talk to the Jim Foose there, who finished in fifth position. And Jim, it all got a little bit wild on that restart there after that competition caution.
Yeah, it most certainly did. Our GoPro Toyota Camry was really good up until that point, and we suffered enough damage that it just about killed it.
Absolutely. Now, you were the last of the drivers who didn't pit under the competition caution, but you pitted pretty much right when it was coming out. Were you expecting to fall back a little bit due to your tires, or were you hoping that your track position would have been enough to keep you up there?
Well, Ty and I planned that out to bring the team cars down pit road at the same time. So we had the intention of trying to maximize what we could. We knew the 7 had slid his tires even after pitting early, so kind of had a little bit of an expectation he was going to drop back, and then decided that it would be good to pit basically coming to the lap that the competition caution would be thrown on, because the tires wouldn't have really any wear on it. It was a lap and a half under caution, and we were just riding around real slow trying to not break the tires in too much.
Are you satisfied with the top 5 finish? I know it's great for points considering the amount of drivers up there in the points who weren't here today.
Yeah, it was a great points night for the GoPro Toyota Camry, but we're definitely upset that not happy with a 5th place finish. We'll definitely take a top 5 in the ultra competitive ASRS XFINITY series, but we really wanted to score a win at our home track. You know, one of our sponsors sponsored the race tonight, the Totes McGoats Facebook page. So really happy about that, and really wanted to get a win for that, and just kind of get a hometown win for myself, I guess. But would have been really happy finishing on the podium. But I guess we'll take a 5th, considering we got hit pretty good there on that restart. So not too bad of a finish.
I have one of your championship competitors up here in the booth with me tonight, Brian Yatzik, giving his vocal cords a bit of exercise. Yeah, Brian, you want to ask Jim anything before we let him go and get ready for the next race?
Absolutely. Hi, Jim. How's it going?
Hey, Brian. Kind of missed you on the track tonight, but I got my DVR set at home, so we'll get to listen to that beautiful voice when I get the TV cranked up here in a little bit.
I made sure I laid a nice vocal down for you. So, with it being the home track, was that the idea behind making the switch to the Toyota, to kind of really kick off that partnership with you and Ty and Steve, I believe, is the 3rd member of your guys' team for 2016?
It wasn't really intentionally done for Mid-Ohio so much. It's just that after Homestead with the truck race, we kind of made the switch over. Of course, last night in the super truck race, we run the Chevy still, since that's the truck that we have for that. But we decided to switch over to Toyota and just kind of get a head start on 2016. Use these last 3 races. We're pretty much out of the championship points wise. We could still get a decent finish in the standings, but as far as winning the thing, I think we're pretty much out of it. So just kind of a test session, make sure everything is good. make sure the driver's comfortable with the way the gauges and the dash is laid out, things like that, just to kind of get used to the car before we head to Daytona and kick off the season. Actually, I'm sorry, before we head in January, I believe the season kicks off at Phoenix or somewhere like that. So, um, just want to get comfortable before we do that. I'm actually working on new pedals here too, so that's another thing that we're kind of testing and breaking it in.
Sounds good. We will see you next 2 weeks as the Xfinity series wraps up for the season at Iowa, and I will not be in the booth for that. I'll actually be racing you on the track, so I look forward to competing with you again in the Xfinity series.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to get to Iowa. It's my dad's birthday, so we got to make the best of what we can there.
All right, so that was Jim Foose, who came home with a 5th place finish tonight. So let's move up a couple positions to our driver, who actually came home with a podium after all was said and done, and that was Mark Myers, who finished in 3rd place. And I'll hand it over to Brian to interview Mark.
Well, that was a fun race, wasn't it, Mark?
Yes, it was. It was actually had a good race. I was actually kind of surprised I got up to 3rd. I was looking at probably 5th at best, but there was a couple cars that had problems in front of me, and things just kind of worked out.
Well, you got very lucky coming off of that restart. Was that part of? I mean, that obviously played into your favor, but tell us what you saw off of that restart from your driving seat.
From that restart, I saw a lot of smoke in front of me in the side of Ty's car. Then I just kind of passed things up by. It was definitely something I was not expecting. A little crazy there in the restart.
Absolutely, but you navigated home to a 3rd place finish. Anybody that you want to thank for your race?
Actually, just thank America Sim Racing Association or Series for putting on such a great event. I've been with them for a while. Also, thank the guys that put up with me in the V8 Supercar America's League, which I race series, which I race in on Thursdays and Friday nights. That probably helped me out quite a bit here too. But overall, I had a good night. Thank you.
Thank you, and we will see you back in 2 weeks back on GSRC when the ASRS XFINITY Series wraps up its season at Iowa. And I'm going to throw it back to Amjad, or not Amjad, sorry, Amjad. I didn't mean to give my director a heart attack. I'm going to throw it back over to Sammy, who has our runner-up finisher tonight.
Yes, and here we are talking to Michael Kobok, who had a good points night tonight there in 2nd, but Michael, I have a feeling you wanted a little bit more than that.
Yeah, that was a real hard and real fun race. I was going for that win, and still a bit of contact there with a couple laps to go, but it's all good. Racing your teammate hard like that to get the checkered flag, it's part of it. It's part of road course racing.
Now, did your crew chief tell you before the race that to get around road courses, you don't have to slide the rear end through every single corner out there?
Yes, but I don't listen very well. It was real loose. I felt like we had a lot of rear brake in the car tonight, and a lot of wheel hop, especially coming into the keyhole there, and getting through some of the S's on the back of the track. But that keyhole was real tricky, and I was sideways coming into turn 1 and into turn 3 quite a bit tonight.
And we saw one time where you actually lost it right before the competition caution flew coming out of the keyhole. Do you think you were being a little bit hard on your tyres? From our standpoint, it looked like Bryce Witson was able to keep his car under him a little bit better.
Yeah, I think I was driving a little bit hard there. Right before the caution came out, I kind of short pitted. I wanted to get the undercut on Bryce, and it worked out, and I jumped ahead about 5 seconds, and then I spun right before the caution came out, and I figured, hey, I got to get... The only way for me to win the race is to get some new tires there, and that restart was absolutely wild when Ty got sideways and got into Bryce, and then I got pretty overzealous there, and I kind of dive bombed turn 1 and grabbed the lead for like half a second, and then got sideways and nailed Bryce again, and it was on from there, tracking him back down and getting the lead for a bit, and it felt real good, and I felt like I was going to hold on for it, but man, what can you do?
Yeah, It did seem you were doing a really good job at running Bryce down after it looked like he kind of got into you in the first turn there, right at the restart. Was that on your mind, trying to get back to him just to say, hey, it's not over?
Oh, I was driving for all I was worth there to try to catch him at the end, and I thought he was just slowing a bit down to kind of tease me there. And I asked him about it, and he said no, his car was shot after that contact, and so I caught him fair and square, and then passed him, and that was a good race. I can't fault him for the contact at all. Me and Bryce, we race pretty clean, we race tough, and that's just kind of short track style road course racing, if you will.
Well, thanks for coming to talk to us, Michael, and we look forward to seeing you back at Iowa.
Thanks. We got a nice, I think, 30 or 50-point lead or something like that in the XFINITY series. 30-point lead over some competitors. So I think hopefully we got this championship locked up, but it'll be fun the next couple races for the rest of the season. And thanks for putting on a great broadcast, and I look forward to the next one.
And that was our second place finisher there, Michael Kobok. And now down to Victory Lane, where Brian Yatzik has caught up with your race winner, Bryce Witson.
Bryce, you put on a heck of a show for us up here in the booth today. Tell us, the defining moment of the race was that restart. Tell us what you saw.
Oh, I tell you, Brian, we just came out of that corner there, and I think the 68 tried to get a jump on us, and it just didn't work out in his favor, unfortunately. But that gave us a lot of damage, kind of put us behind the 8 ball, and we just drove as hard as we could.
Yeah, Michael mentioned it in his interview that you said over the TeamSpeak that your car was damaged. How much, if your car in a perfect world, do you feel like you could have driven right away from him?
Michael was a really strong competitor, and to be honest, that was all my fault. I got into that corner way too hard, and that shouldn't have happened. But, before that, him and I were really, really even for quite a while. I think on a little bit of a longer run, I had a better car overall. But, him and I feel like we're just neck and neck most of the race, and it was going to come down to whichever one of us was in the front there at the end, I think.
Absolutely. But really, when it boiled down to now, the other thing I want to talk about. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. With the track being that hot out there, the track surface was at 106 degrees, I believe we said. How much of that was contributing to how squirrely we were seeing these cars get?
I'll tell you, Brian, it was definitely a really, really squirrely track. This week I started using some new pedals, some HPP pedals from HPP Simulation. And you know what? I really think those pedals showed how great they were. I was out braking everybody going into those corners and really just holding right there at the threshold. So, I think that was definitely an advantage today and helped us out with that slick track.
Sounds great. Before we let you go and finish your celebration, anybody you want to thank or give a shout out to tonight?
Oh, I want to thank the whole team, Witson Motorsports. We've had a great year. This is only about my 3rd win this year, so I'm lagging compared to previous. But, we've had a great year together. Having yourself, Brian, on the team, as well as Michael and Gary and Austin and the whole crew, Jeff Gilliam. It's been a great year. We've had a lot of fun, and right now we're just going to go to these last couple races of 2015 and look forward to an awesome 2016.
Sounds great. Have yourself a great night there, Bryce.
Thank you, Brian, and again, thank you as well, Sam.
And that was our race winner tonight, Bryce Witson. And it was nice to hear that there weren't too many hard feelings at the end of that one, Brian, because those drivers really did put on a great show, and it would have been unfortunate to have had it end on too much of a sour note.
Absolutely. Like I said, I've raced against these guys. I race with them week in and week out. So I know that it wasn't an intentional moment between the two of them, but it put on a heck of a show for us up here in the booth, I'll tell you what.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like it's time to hand up the mics for the night, but we will see you all back in 2 weeks' time at Iowa Speedway, Brian.
Absolutely. We would like to thank our organizer of the series, Jim Foose, and also a shout out to iRacing Live once more. Thank you to the software and the hardware that we use for our broadcast, and you see everything listed on your screen. Thank you to the team today, Samuel, myself, Amjad, and also Dougie Beard for the cameras. If you want to find out more about GSRC, you can find it at www.globalsimracingchannel.com, along with archived races and upcoming broadcasts as well. We are on Twitter at GSRC channel, but that is going to change January 1st, I believe, to GSRC Broadcasting. You can also find us at Facebook at facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. A special thank you to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who both provide music for our broadcasts. Their music can be found at the locations listed on the screen as well. And as we've talked about, the next broadcast will be in 2 weeks as the ASRS XFINITY Series picks up and finishes off its season at the wonderful Iowa Raceway. We also have other upcoming races for you on the series on screen to check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and I'll see you on the track.